Hello everyone and welcome to Rewind, the retro video game show coming to you live every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern or 3:02 as in today's case, right here on the AWS for Games channels on YouTube and Twitch. My name is Chris Melissinos and I'm the Principal Evangelist for video games here at AWS. And on this episode of Rewind, we are going to take a look at one of the wackiest, coolest, and unique game systems of the 1980s, General Consumer Electronics' Vectrex Arcade System. Back in the early 1980s, it was not uncommon for most families to only have a single television in the house. That meant that families had to fight over watching television programs or video games. Now, many times, families may buy a smaller TV for the kids to play games on, but that meant the fights just went to those TVs as well. But what if there was a game system that didn't need the family TV because it came with its own? Enter the Vectrex, the video game industry's first all-in-one game console that you could take with you. Released in 1982, the Vectrex included a 9-inch CRT in its housing that could display vector graphics in black and white. Vector graphics created images by connecting different points on a CRT with straight lines. It's differed from the way raster graphics work, which are images that are created by lighting up groups of pixels, which is what we still use today. The advantage of vector graphics is that they are smooth, high resolution, and insanely sharp compared to the raster output of competing systems in the 1980s. Vector graphics have a very distinct look that make games from this era stand out. Asteroids, Battlezone, Major Havoc, and the mighty Tempest all use vector displays to create their iconic look. Now, while not a color monitor, the Vectrex utilized color overlays to add additional details to the game. The Vectrex was powered by a Motorola MC68A09 processor running at 1.5 MHz, with 1 kilobyte of RAM, 8 kilobytes of ROM, and the cartridge could be up to 32 kilobytes in size. The sound was generated by a 3-voice programmable sound generator powered by the General Instrument AY3-8912 processor. That's easy to say, and the system came with a 4-button controller equipped with an analog joystick with a connector for an additional controller to be added. The Vectrex came with Mindstorm built in, a wonderful Asteroids clone that we'll explore later today, and released a light pen to use in certain titles. The Vectrex also had a 3D visor, released only for a few months, that made it possible to make color games or play color games on the Vectrex and in 3D. Now, while only 3 games were officially released for the visor, there are some games that have been created by members in the very active Vectrex homebrew community. There were 28 games officially released for the console, with more than 150 created by the homebrew community, and one called Alpine Rescue by John Day that we'll take a look at today. The Vectrex was discontinued in 1984, enjoying just over a year officially being sold in market. However, the Vectrex community remains one of the most, or actually say not just the community, yes, the community is also coveted, but the Vectrex remains as one of the most coveted collectibles by retro game collectors worldwide, and systems typically sell for over $400 and up. Unique, quirky, and totally rad, the Vectrex brought arcade, gameplay, and vector graphics to the home and freed you from your TV. So let's jump over to the 8-bit living room and check out the awesome library and an additional awesome homebrew of the Vectrex Arcade System. And here we are in the 8-bit living room. How is everybody doing today? Yay! All right, we're getting ready to play some Vectrex, of course, as always. It's a beautiful night here in space. I do not have any Vectrex commercials up and running here today in the 8-bit living room. We're going to put all of our attention on the Vectrex itself. So, you know, as I mentioned, the Vectrex was really the most unique console, I think, in the early 1980s. The fact that you had a television system built into this meant you didn't need to occupy that family room space, and you could also take it with you, like to your friend's home. You could actually carry it around. It wasn't too heavy, although, you know, it may have looked a bit odd if you walking down the street holding this, you know, little black, system with this glowing CRT in it. Also, I want to say, hey, first time chat, there is Vectrexer, Vectrex with a capital. Oh, emulation, but understandable. Yes, unfortunately, my apologies. We had to go in and do emulation because there was no way to actually sync that incredible display with the refresh of the camera. We'd be banding all over the place. So we're going to do emulation today, but it doesn't take away from the majesty, the incredible games that were on the Vectrex. So Vectrexer, thank you for joining today as the first time chatter. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. So as I said, the Vectrex came with Mindstorm, which is the first game that we're going to go and take a look at today. And we say it was a really competent Asteroids clone. It's because it was, and it still is a really competent Asteroids clone. I should also make mention, one of the reasons why I'm doing this episode today is I actually have a very old friend here in the studio with me today who's just come in to sit in and watch. And I first got a chance to experience the Vectrex at his home when we were back in high school. So Brett, thanks for coming out today and just chilling, watching some of this Vectrex magic. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So here we go. It is a Mindstorm. And we talk about, again, a really competent Asteroids clone. This one really did it. In fact, in some respects, I like this version better than the Asteroids games of its time. And I'm going to drop the music down here a little, pump up the volume on the Vectrex to make sure we can hear the glorious 3-channel sound coming out of the Vectrex there. And let's see. All right, so here we are on Minefield 1, and we have full rotation there. Although what I was able to do with this emulator, of course, is put those nice overlays on over the playfield. And this is what we experienced when we were playing, Vectrex at home. It didn't have color. It didn't have color. But the overlay added just a little more dimension to the game. Also, something that did it was really cool to have was it told you what the buttons did at the bottom of the screen, right? Which is something that we didn't have in other game systems. So you used to have the manual next to you or just try to remember, what those buttons did. So there's a couple of other cool things that this did versus traditional Asteroids game. Of course, now I have the entire screen full before finishing that thought. But the stars that are in the background are actually the origin points for each of the asteroids that you have to go ahead and blow up. So you'll see there's the ship coming in and scattering them all over the back there. Each one of those points will be an asteroid that you have to go ahead and blow up or move away from. So you could, that's the warp. Oh, look at that. And I just got killed, right? I said they're cool. I didn't say I was very good at them. So there we are, Minefield 2. We're going to go again. So you can see, again, this is approximating what... Oh, shoot. Come on, get out of there. Sorry, I'm hitting the wrong button. I kept meaning to hit thrust, and I kept hitting escape, which, sucks. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, and I love the sound that thruster made. The good thing, too, is this one had a better physics, I think, than the Asteroids games that we had at home, because it actually had some friction to it, if that makes sense. So, and except when you accelerate right into a freaking mine, hence the name Mindstorm. Yeah, and so what'll happen is when you hit the thrust button here, your ship actually stops moving after a little while, so it doesn't maintain inertia the entire time, which was great because it helped you have a little bit more control over what was going on screen. So this game was included in every Vectrex. You didn't need to put a cartridge in, it just came loaded in. So if you didn't have a cartridge slapped in the side, this is what would actually pull up and you could go ahead and start playing right away. Lovely, lovely game. All right, so that is mine. So we're going to see how many of these games we can get through today. If you are watching and you have a particular game that is your favorite, let me know in the comments and I'll go ahead and fire it up. But let's go ahead and jump into, let's see here. There is a bug. Once you pass level 13, everything turns into small lines and dots. It's really confusing. And this was fixed as a separate card called Mindstorm 2.0. All right, well, thank you very much. So I may have a copy of Mindstorm 2 with me here, but it won't really show any difference, right? Unless I get all the way up there, but we're not going to go ahead and try to have me get to level 13. We got a lot of games to play through. The next one I want to go ahead and jump into is one of my favorites on this system. And this one is called Berserk. This one was a really, really good version of this game. Now, unfortunately, as I mentioned, I am using emulation here, so we can go ahead and have a nice crisp display for you to go and see. And the emulation, the audio here creates this terrible buzzing sound, so I'm going to have to drop the volume here so it doesn't blow your ears out. But you can see all the delicious gameplay action that Berserk on the Vectrex had to offer. So let me drop the volume down a little bit. And really good animation. Yeah, you can hear that rumbling that's happening. But really good animation, actually even better animation than on the Atari 2600. And there's, of course, Evil Otto coming to get you. But really, again, a competent arcade, arcade conversion for the home. And, you have to remember at the time that this was released, we didn't have games that looked this close to the arcade at home. So the fact that it really did feel like you were playing the arcade version and it was portable, I mean, you were king of the castle if you had this whole setup at home, right? Because it is just amazing. What is really cool, though, even in emulation, you can see that there are points on the lines that are on the screen. So you can actually see where the Vectrex or the monitor, actually the vector monitor, would be going ahead and lighting up those points and then connecting them with solid lines. And that is, that is the kind of hallmark of vector graphics, is that they created these semi-complex shapes out of just straight lines. So very angular, really almost low poly, if you will, if we're going to kind of equate it back to polygonal graphics. Oh, he's coming fast. But it gave it a really unique look. And there weren't a ton of games that utilized vector graphics in the arcade, and even less that did, color graphics. Of course, the top of that heap would have, like, it could be debatable. Tempest in the arcade, right, was just absolutely amazing. But you also had games like Major Havoc. So much fun. Incredible game. And then you had Omega Race and a variety of vector-based games. And you got a lot of them at home on the Vectrex. So really, really cool. So Berserk, one of my favorites on the entire platform. All right, so that is Berserk. Now, the Vectrex tried to do something that was really a bit beyond its capabilities, but it gave it the shot anyway. It actually did voice synthesis. So we're going to go ahead and put up a platformer called Spike. And, of course, there is a fun original ever title is Star Castle. Yes. So what you'll see is a lot of these conversions that came up. That was a good point, by the way. A lot of these games, when they would come home, they would be inspired by, right? Or they would be, knockoffs of their arcade counterparts. And that also means that they would have slightly different titles, although Star Castle was Star Castle, right? But Mindstorm versus Asteroids, yeah, you get it. All right, so this is Spike. A little difficult to play this one, just because of its perspective, and you'll see what I mean. Those of you that are Vectrex fans out there, and I know that there are a few watching today, and thank you so much for joining the stream today. You already know what Spike's about. Here we go. Eek, help Spike. Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. In emulation, it is not doing the voices. So, all right. So we have left kick, right kick, and jump. All right. So here is, oh, there's jump. And of course I fell off because, yeah, I'm terrible at that. All right, here we go. Spike is a cool platformer, and I agree. I do love it in real life as well. Went in, got that key. And then, oh, dang it. Didn't mean to fall again. All right, let's try it one more time. Here we go. Yeah, and it is rough. The voice animation is rough, or sound is rough, but very cool. All right, so what you need to do is move the ladder so Spike can get up here. And now we want to get Spike up here. Oh. Let's see. Come on. Other emulators do support the digitized voice component as well. They do. Unfortunately, in preparing for this, come on. Oh, I meant to jump. Preparing for this show, I didn't have a chance to go ahead and test a bunch of it. I think that there are maybe two good solid emulators. There's also an emulator that's all done inside of the browser. That's pretty cool as well. One of the things I do want to make sure that we mention here with Spike, look, they have interstitials, just like, you know, other arcade games that were character-based at the time had. Really fun. And it is a fun platformer. Oh, a lot of enemies. Oh no, Spike. That's how it would kind of sound. Not really, but kind of. All right, let's go ahead and get up here. Where's my jump? There we go. Not playing on a stock controller as well makes it a bit more difficult to... Oh, there was Molly's bow. Makes it a little more difficult to control, but here we go. And then we're up and... Oh, jump, dummy. All right. Woo! All right, that is two. That is two on 2 levels on Spike. But once again, Molly gets kidnapped and off you go again. And so this was the platformer for the Vectrex, right? A little different than what we would typically expect of games at that time. But look how sharp the graphics were. You had a little bit more of a challenge in that you had to move the ladder that you would... oh my goodness, am I gonna... Terrible, terrible. But that is the awesome Spike. It definitely a great game to go ahead and if you have a Vectrex at home, make sure you go pick that up. You know, it even deserves a little applause. Thank you, Spike. Thank you, Spike, for being an awesome platformer, for being an awesome little platformer on the mighty Vectrex. All right. Let's go ahead and pop in another one. If you want to play with an original Vectrex controller on the computer, there's a Vectrex to USB adapter. And yes, it does work for this emulator. I love that. I love that we have some true Vectrex fans in the house. What I will tell you while we're firing up the next game is I taught one of my kids how to solder by soldering in a buzz-off kit into the Vectrex that we have at home. Right, which makes it so quiet. One of the problems that the Vectrex had, for those of you that don't know and wondering what a buzz-off kit would possibly do, is the way the cable routes were done inside of the Vectrex. They had the basically speaker lines running too close to some of the components that were throwing off too much interference, and so you would get this buzzing that would happen in the speaker. But the buzz-off kit eliminated that and made it perfect, crystal clear sound. So little jump there and a little cheer for the buzz-off kit. And let's move on to our next game. Let's see, passing electronic skills. That's right, they do soak it up. And that is listen, that is what I will tell you. If you have kids and they are playing video games, right, or they're interested in these types of things, make sure you're playing along with them. Make sure you're teaching these things, because you're right, they do absorb that stuff. Right? And you create some very solid memories of playing with them, with video games, right? It brings every generation together. They're amazing. Now, the Vectrex, right, was really designed to kick the kids out of the living room, because they could just cart that little machine off to wherever the hell they wanted to go and leave parents alone and let them go ahead and watch one of the 4, count them, 4 network channels that were pretty much available to them, right, during that era. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next game. So another game that I really like was Spinball, a really good, competent pinball game on the Vectrex. I I love digital pinball games, right? Everything from the pinball FX libraries, building digital pinball tables, love them, absolutely love them. And so now you can see here, as we talked about the overlays, the color overlay basically added the other geometry to the other what am I saying? Like stickers to the board or other components to the board to flesh out the world a little bit more. So it just didn't look like a bunch of lines. It actually resembled some playfield. And here we go. Look at that. We got this scaling that comes in. Other systems weren't doing that. And let's go ahead and let's see. Let's shoot this. Let's see. Which one is this? All right. So here we've got, oh, that's pause. Let me do that. All right. 1, 2, and then this should be 3. So we're going to shoot that ball. And there we go. And now we're playing spin ball. But really cool. I mean, look, you know, even though we were saying before that, that I was saying before that was everything built out of lines. Look, even the little ball is built out of individual lines. I remember when one of my kids was really young. This is not a Vectrex one. This is a Commodore VIC-20 one. I busted out my old Commodore VIC-20 and we loaded up a game off of a data set recorder, right? So basically a cassette tape deck that you had connected to your machine, because that's how we used to go ahead and save games back in the dark ages, right? Oh, I tilted. Womp, womp.
Your life force.
And so anyway, there was this janky Pong clone that came up on the screen, and she says to me, "What is this?" And I explained, I said, well, you just have to avoid missing ball for high score, right? All the instructions you needed. And she said, "Where's the ball?" And I said, "It's right there on the screen." And she said, "Do you mean that square?" And I said, "Yes. When we were your age, right, we didn't have any, you know, round, you know, basketballs or, you know, soccer balls. Everything were squares." Right? She's like, "That must have been so boring in your era." I'm like, well, no, it wasn't. Why don't you get out of here? That was an old man yelling at clouds moment for me. But you can see Spinball, really, again, competent, lovely pinball simulation for the Vectrex. All right. Going to go ahead and move on to another game. The problem is that, you know, these shows are only about an hour long, but I've got so many games I want to go ahead and play through today. Also, I want to go ahead and say here, Vectrexer says, also demystifies the internals of every device. Absolutely. And when you start to understand how these things work, it gives you a better appreciation for the complexity of the things that we use to kind of carry on our daily lives, the things we use for entertainment, and also takes away some of the fear of actually opening some stuff up and fixing it by yourself. Right? So it is passing on those skills. I do love that. Right, kids? Yes, right. Yay. That's exactly right. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into... What should we jump into? Oh, another great game, Scramble, right? Based on the arcade game Scramble. And Scramble actually came out for a number of systems during this era. It wasn't Scramble on, maybe it was. So there was another system. The problem is we'll go through all of the games in 15 minutes. It was called the Adventure Vision by Entex, which didn't have a monitor. It actually had a spinning mirror with an LED bar on the side that would go ahead and basically display seemingly a play field upon which games were painted and played. And the one game that came with it was Defender, but then they also had Turtles. I think they had, if it wasn't Scramble, it may have been Super Cobra. I'm not sure. My mind's blanking a little bit on that one there. But yeah, these types of side-scrolling shoot 'em ups that you know, had different enemies launching at different times. You got to clear out those oil or those gas, I guess the gas oil bits at the bottom to keep your fuel level up while you're going through. So you're avoiding enemies, you're shooting at stuff, you're also making sure that you bomb the oil to have enough fuel to get to the end of the level. Okay, I hit that one. Yeah, you can see me moving all over the place here. Yeah, and so we didn't have, like we said, color. So what do? We make the ground green by putting green down at the bottom. We make the top kind of this muted red, and then it fades to black at the top. And that's how we did it. And of course, you know, the bane of the Vectrex owner were having little siblings that didn't take care of those overlays. And so when you'd misplace it, everything would just be a black and white line cacophony on that 9-inch vector monitor, but still really cool. Oh, and I ran out of fuel and I crashed. Yeah, ha ha ha, indeed. How dare they? How dare they? But that's Scramble. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and move on here. Although this one I really want to play, but yeah, let's go ahead and move on. All right, that is Scramble. Let's see, what else do we have up here to play today? Now, one of the ones in doing emulation, let's see, there's also Pole Position. Along with Scramble, there's also Pole Position, both of which are among the first vector imaginings of what was originally a raster graphics arcade game. And I was about to say, yes, I have Pole Position here, but the problem in doing emulation, if you're not using an analog stick, you're either on or off, left to right. So I'm not using an analog joypad right now, so I will show you what it looks like, but unfortunately I won't be able to play it. And no, I'm not using it as an excuse for my terrible reflexes. That is actually what is happening here. But look at how good that looks, right? It really simulated the arcade. It was a really good approximation of it. And let's see, do we have, there we go, there's some gas. Wait a minute. Let me see. All right, there we go. And look, we're going 200, 300, 400 miles an hour. The one thing that this did have that other versions, home versions of Pole Position did not have at the time were the billboards. Man, if you did not see the billboards on the side of the road in a Pole Position game, what are you doing with your life, right? Like that's not the game you want to play. Pole Position is about the billboards on the side. It's about going ahead and getting that prepare to qualify. And of course, we don't have the voice there, but this felt like Pole Position. Look, you even have the turning of the tires at the bottom represented by those lines. Look at those crashes, man. Those were freaking amazing back then. And again, we just did not have other systems at home that could replicate this right at that time. So this was really unique. Again, another really replayable, lots of fun to go ahead and dig into this, even if you're terrible at it like I am. And yeah, a good conversion, right, of Pole Position, but for the home. And actually, I made a mistake. I've got it right, man. Vectrexer, thank you so much for being here. Pole Position, you can see I was actually driving the car, so I can't blame my poor performance on the controller. Pole Position is not analog. Pole Position is digital. I was thinking of Hyper Chase, and I'll fire that one up to show you exactly what I was talking about. Let's see if we can even just complete a damn, track here. Now, I said, you can't have Pole Position without the billboards. But of course, you don't have any of the graphics that were on the billboard. Although, look at the way the car looks when you're turning from the side. I love that you can see the sides of the wheels too. It didn't just slide. Think about it this way: when the designers, and were making this game, they could have just slid the car left to right. But no, they said, look, you need to give the perspective of the tires because the car is turning from the side. So all that thought went into this vector version of a raster-based video game, and it holds. I'll tell you, anybody that grew up in this era, if they saw this, even if they didn't have the overlay, would go, man, that looks a lot like Pole Position, because it was Pole Position. That's right, it was, and we just went in and passed the first lap. Look at that, right, kids? Yay! Of course. All right, so here we go. So that's Pole Position. All right, but since you brought it up, let's go ahead and take a look at Hyper Chase, because that is the one where you can't do it. You can't play it really well without, actually, you really can't play it without an analog stick. Although I tap it and just a couple of digital steering steps, but yes, missing a step when only using the keyboard. So I'm actually using an analog or a digital gamepad, just not an analog one. My apologies. All right, so here we go. Let's hit some gas here. Yeah. Oh, see how fast I hit that wall. So let me see if I can just, yeah, look at that. Just tap it and oh my God. But I'll tell you what, it is a brutal game, even when you have the proper controls. Look at how the road is actually shifting, not just turning, right? It's actually bending away from you. And your car shifts to give a little bit of that perspective as well. You got street lights rolling up in here. What? That's crazy. But yeah, Hyper Chase was great. It was a lot of fun playing this game. Used to love it. Oh, there we go. Let me see. Let's shift up a little bit, get a little more speed. Although I don't know why I'm doing that because it's digital, so I'm going to wind up crashing again. 3, you didn't have 2. You didn't have high and low like in pole position. Man, look at this. We're up to 4, and look how fast that was moving. All right, let's see if we can do that on a straightaway. We got 1, 2, second gear. Let's get up there to the top of those RPMs. 3 and 4. Woo! Look at that Hyper Chase. What do you think of that? That is crazy, right? Woo! My goodness gracious. Yeah, Hyper Chase. Lots of fun playing that one too. All righty, let's go ahead and jump out of Hyper Chase since I only have middle, left, right. It is a hard game. Like I was saying, even with the proper controller, it was a hard-ass game. All right, let's go into... Oh, here we go. This is a prototype called Dark Tower. Oh my goodness. Yes. Vectrexer says, hey, well, a lot of original Vectrex controller joysticks are now worn and makes this game difficult. But on a new refurbished analog controller, Hyper Chase becomes a pleasure. And even in emulation, if you have a good analog controller, right, you can play a good, competent game, and it does feel good to play. All right, so Dark Tower, this was a prototype of an adventure game. Now, for those of you that are also board game fanatics, you'll know what Dark Tower is, right? Very famous game by Milton Bradley, was only out for a short period of time because, as the legend goes, there was somebody who came up with the idea. They pitched to the company said, no, thank you. And then 6-8 months later, out comes the Dark Tower board game. And then, of course, lawsuits happen and the game goes away. And that game would cost upwards of $600. Yeah, you had the board game. I did too. That game would cost up to $600 in basically the used market. But this company, Restoration Games, did a brand new one called Return to Dark Tower. I backed it on Kickstarter, got it at home. It is fantastic. So much more advanced than the original one. But this game and the prototype here is leaning into that. So you can see it's doing a kind of an open world type of adventure game. So we can come up to, let's see, the treasure chest there. Let's see, what can I do with that? I can't do anything with it. Honestly have not played through this enough. Oh, you hear that I'm dying there? Oh, yeah, that's it. I died out there. And I don't know how or why, but here's my replacement warrior that they just decided to throw in there too. But yeah, so Dark Tower prototype, you can go out there and find it, and pretty interesting, right, to go see, even just as an oddity for the Vectrex. So, all right, let's go ahead. Let's soldier on, shall we, and find some more awesome games on the Vectrex. Now, man, you know, and I am bummed because we do have some hardcore Vectrex folks here, you know, watching today. This game is broken in the way the layout happens, but I would be remiss if I at least didn't show you. This is Clean Sweep. Clean Sweep was a Pac-Man clone. And there was, for those of you that are watching right now, what was the name of the tax collection version? No, was it the tax one, or it was a brewery? There was another version of this game that is extremely expensive to go ahead and find, but I forget right off the top of my head what the name of that game was. Vectrex or Justin, you probably know what those are, or what I'm talking about. So, all right, Mr. Boston, that's it. Mr. Boston. Yes. So with Clean Sweep, here is the trick, right? So you don't have power pellets in the corner. You have these little boxes you go into, and when you do so, then you can go ahead and eat, you know, the baddies around the screen there. But here was the cool mechanic that Clean Sweep had that I thought was just brilliant, was at some point you eat enough of these coins that you become too big to collect any more of them. So the way you rid yourself of those coins is you have to sneak right back here into the middle. And you see you shrink back down because now you ain't got no more coins in your belly. And so then you go back out and you basically bulk up eat more of them and constantly escaping. And you can see that, well, it's kind of hard to see because, like I said, in emulation, this game breaks. But in the corners, the upper left corner there, that area is no longer available to me. So I can come up here, come into this one, and that will close off. So again, now I've lost my second ability to go after them. But again, this one was a really fun, and it's Pac-Man without being Pac-Man. Like I said, in this era, I didn't mean to go down there. In this era of games, we went ahead and we're used to getting in games that were inspired by the games we saw in arcades coming home, right? Because licensing was, not the cheapest, not that it's any cheaper now. Oh, look at him. Why would he go ahead and hit me when I'm tiny like that? What's wrong with him? Didn't his mother teach him better? Okay, so we are almost done. Let's at least just clear the one level, then we can move on to the next game there. And here we go. And there we go. And we are off the level. And that is Clean Sweep. A good maze chase Pac-Man type clone for the Vectrex. For the awesome, compact, quirky, buzz-ridden Vectrex, right? Pretty awesome. All right. Okay, everybody doing good? Yeah, we are doing good. All righty, and let's go ahead and see the next one. Let's see. Vectrex has said, I actually played that advertising version of Clean Sweep while visiting a store to buy some beer while in Orlando in the 1980s. I love that. I love that. Very cool. All right. Let's see. What about, let's see. Let's go to the top of the list here. What do we have up here that we're not looking at right now? Because we're going to be getting to soon. We're going to be getting to an original game, right, called Alpine Rescue. Now, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to play this thing, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot anyway. You know what? Let's take a look at sports titles, right? Sports titles were kind of a staple, right, for home video games. And the Vectrex had a couple, right? And had a baseball one that I believe was a prototype. Blitz, of course. And yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can go ahead and play this too. So here we go. And again, your controls are right down there at the bottom of the screen. Isn't that lovely? This is X's and O's, ladies and gentlemen, right? That is what we are playing here without the big trackball that Atari would have. Okay, let me run and make sure I can go ahead and grab the ball. No. Oh, yes. Okay, and now we're running. Come on, get out of the way. Tackle. Look at that. You get that little explosion, and it's showing the turnover there. It is production. Yep, that's what I thought. Thanks. All right, and let's go ahead and look for, let's try. Here we go. Oh, could not make it through the hole. Oh, but we did pick up 2, so that's good. All right, let's give that a shot. And you run it up. Go. You know, though, the game cheats, right? Like, we know that, right? Because there's no way they're picking up that much gas. All right, let's see. Snap back and run it out. There's the line of scrimmage on the left. And we're above the line. And there we go. Look how crisp the numbers were, too, in the corner. Like, if you were playing on an Atari 2600, you had those big blocky numbers. Sometimes they'd have lines in them and they wouldn't line up correctly. Look how nice and crisp they are here on the Vectrex. And look, again, if you think about the time that this thing was launched, football games, we had ColecoVision that was out at this time, and then we had the Intellivision that was out as well. And they got better, like the real sports type versions from... better quarterback helps a win. Yes, that certainly does. Hey, thanks a lot there. Thanks a lot there, buddy. I appreciate that. So, and you had my soundboard laughing at me. How dare you? So anyway, you had the action sports and the real sports types of versions here, but this one, you couldn't do the same type of raster graphics on the Vectrex as these other systems could. So, but this was still a really good, competent, fun game of football. Right? Available to you on your portable Vectrex, which your parents got once again to kick you out of the family room so they could go ahead and watch their Dynasty. Dynasty, right? That was back then, right? Dallas, that was back then too, I think, right? Did we get that right? I think we got that right. Okay, let's go ahead and... Let's drop into another one here. Solar Quest, Baseball, Spinball, Star Castle, Starship, Star Hawk. I always thought this one looked cool. And what I thought was cool about the way this looked was if you look back at old ads from the early 1980s, there was a game for the Intellivision that said, either this is a video game or your living room is going, 190 miles an hour or something like that. And I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, we've got, let me see. Yeah, so basically, we have some lovely backgrounds here, and we are basically fighting all of these different fighters, and they're basically bombing that trench there. So you want to go ahead and stop them before they do that. Oh, so a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Star Trek. Yeah, I think that was a jank Millennium Falcon right there. Trying to go ahead and blow this up. Actually, I look at Blitz and Heads Up as feeling played more like a Mattel Coleco handheld. Sort of. I get where you're coming from, but the difference between those, right? Those little LEDs systems, it was really easy to cheat those systems. So if you played the Coleco, let's see, there was a Coleco one and there was a Mattel one. And I believe it was the Mattel one that, I could be wrong. It's got to be one of the two since they were the only two out there. You could go ahead and hike the ball and put it into play and then run backwards and basically appear on the other side of the screen and then could go forward. And so basically you're end running around every one of, the defenders. And so, once they went ahead and I believe made a revision to them going forward, and so you weren't able to do that anymore. But a little more complex than the Mattel or Coleco handhelds, but I catch your vibe. I know what you're talking about. That's very good. So anyway, that was Starhawk. Again, it's adding a little more flavor, right, to a typical shooter there. And, again, a really fun game, right? Really fun game. All right. Let's see. What are we going to do now? Web Wars. All right. Another game that changed the perspective. This kind of leans more heavily, I feel, into the Tempest type of game. And let's see here. Here we go. Player one, what you going to do? So you can move up and down these pieces. Let me see. Where is my fire button? Here we go. And I need to go grab these I don't have these buttons mapped correctly. So, all right. So here's my fire. And then what I want to do is all right. See, look at how it's changing that perspective. So this, for all intent and purposes, looks like a 3D type of game on your Vectrex without 3D glasses, right? And as I move forward, it's increasing my speed. Where's my capture button? Damn it. Okay, stop sticking out your capture thing. There we go. I got one. Right, so a little bit Tempest, a little bit shoot, kind of Tempest is a corridor shooter. What am I talking about? Yeah, it's like Tempest. Right, just with that stuff coming out of the void at you. Favorite game on Intellivision was what? What is it? B-17 Bomber. That's what it was. B-17 Bomber. Right, yeah, I think that's how it went. Yeah. I got no trophies. Why? Because apparently I stink at Web Wars. So, but that is a Web Wars. All right, let's go ahead and look at maybe one or two more, and then let's jump into this unique homebrew game. And while we do that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I pull up the instruction manual, which John over on LinkedIn, John, thank you for reaching out to me, buddy. I really appreciate you doing that. It was very kind of you to provide that to me today. And we should also say to check out his Share Squid YouTube. So go to YouTube, look up Share Squid, and check out, the stuff that John's doing there. I asked him about having a website. It's not entirely done yet. So the best way to go ahead and see what John's working on is going over to Share Squid on YouTube and check out the work that he is doing there. And he gave me a rough draft instruction manual. Thanks again, John, to make sure that I knew what to do. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and read a little of his intro story and play a little bit of Alpine Rescue. So we're going to be on this journey together for the first time. So the intro story, emergency. The president's daughter Molly has gone missing while rock climbing near your rescue cabin. With nightfall and the bad weather rolling in, time is of the essence. So you quickly take one last sip, set down your warm mug or your R2-D2 blender bottle right here. And head out throw on that parka and head out into the cold night. The moon shines brightly on your trusty snowmobile, but dark clouds on the horizon forewarn of a terrible blizzard. You glance over at the parked helicopter. Glad you fueled it up the night before. Hopefully you can find enough clues to locate the lost hiker, fire a signal flare, and get them airlifted out before blinding snow and fearsome winds make rescue impossible. Wait, what is this in your snowmobile pouch? I don't know. Jim's old Polaroid camera. Old Jim swore there was a family of Yetis somewhere in the deep woods just below the tree line. At his retirement party, Jim shared a crazy story about Yeti peeking out from the trees to watch his snowmobile tricks. You hang the camera around your neck in the hopes that maybe tonight you can capture a photo of these elusive creatures. Photographic proof of a Yeti could provide the money for some much-needed upgrades to your rescue equipment. It's gonna be a long, cold night, so good luck out there. All right, now that we've set the stage, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of Alpine Rescue. Now, before we jump in here, I should mention that I did not have obviously an overlay for it, nor could I go ahead and quickly, because things just been crazy, go ahead and remove one. So I just chose something thematically similar. It's obviously not Polar Rescue. This is Alpine Rescue, but it's got rescue, it's got snow, so I figured, why not? We'll go ahead and put it on there. So John, sorry about having to use an overlay for this, but hopefully you'll forgive me. So remember, folks, this is Rescue, Alpine Rescue, not Polar Rescue. All right, and that works for him. Nice and blue. Yeah, see, I think I got it thematically correct. All right, here we go. So, stages and goals. So the goal is to find all the letters rescue as they represent clues to finding the hiker before the blizzard arrives. Take up to 5 photos of animals you see along the way. Each photo of an animal is worth money. Yeti pics are worth the most. Okay, so you got a little Pokemon Snap going on in there. I do love that. Then we've got avoid obstacles, jump over logs, get coins, get stars. So we have our joystick, we have gas, photo, and return to menu. All right, so you know what? Let's just go ahead and give it a shot and see what happens here. All right, so here we go. All right, here we go. There's a little bit of gas there. Oh, that went right back to the menu. So, okay, so that's got to be for... Whoa. There, got a little coin there. Wow, that is a really cool effect. And different environments. Oh, I missed the R there. Some other environmentals. Oh, there's the coin. Oh, I think I grabbed... There's the R. All right. Oh, look at that. That was good. That good scaling of the letter there. And I should also mention that this obviously works on original hardware as John intended it to work. But good news too, it also works on this, right? So at least we can sample it. Whoa, okay. Whoa, all right. That looks amazing, man. Really fantastic. I don't think I'm going to be... Oh, there was a Yeti. And I hit the damn button again. My apologies. Let's go ahead and move over to the next one there. Okay, so those are the photos then, right? Yeah, I guess so. Oh, look at that. So that was a tree, fallen tree, blocking part of your path that you had to move underneath. Wow, really, really cool. This is amazing. What I absolutely love, right, is we have access to technology that lets us build incredible virtual worlds that put in hundreds of thousands of people simultaneously into single spaces. We've got games that go ahead and build global audiences and sell, into the tens of millions of units. But there's still such a love for the hardware, the systems, and the community for these incredible machines that basically were at the dawn of video games. And the fact that, we have, again, such a vibrant community and awesome developers like John who are out there creating new experiences and just really pushing the hard. Oh, look at the snowflakes falling. Man, that is amazing. That is amazing. Again, putting the time, effort, love, and care into this and just keeping these communities alive. That's what I love about it, right? Game communities like this are just absolutely wonderful. And, really it speaks to that the community efforts. As I said at the beginning of the show, 28 original games launched for the Vectrex, but there are over 200 available through the homebrew community. Just really, really astonishing. Really, really awesome. All right, that was the snowmobile stage. Let's go ahead and try the rappelling stage. So we need to go ahead and make our way down. Let's see. Let's see. How do I choose missions here? Can I? Let's see. We'll just do practice then. Oh, okay. So this button jumps out and down. Let's see. That one is this one. All right. So this should be, let me see which one should be button. All right. So we're going to rappel down. Okay. Now we have to make our way. Oh, the longer you hold it. Oh, that is fantastic. Okay, so the longer you hold the button, the further out you rappel. So you know what this reminds me of? I don't know if John intended it this way. Oh, and you have the letters to the side too. And this reminds me of Vertical Moon Patrol. Is really what it reminds me of, right? So instead of craters, you have those peaks that are sticking out. So yeah, and by the way, I mean that as a compliment. Moon Patrol is one of my favorite arcade games from that era. Wow, really, really cool. Grab that coin, grab that R. Wow, really, really neat. Just amazing. Oh, look you can see that the mountains in the background are scrolling at a different pace to show that you're actually moving down the mountain. So they're getting closer and closer to the top of the screen. Really, really awesome. Wow. Okay, you know what? Now here's the problem. I'm going to spend the rest of my time just doing this. Oh, you have some falling snow. All right, let's see how long it's going to take us to get. Oh, and I hit that spike. All right, let's see. What else do we have here real quick? Let's go ahead and jump in. There's copter mode. Oh, don't tell me. Okay, so now I have to move down here. Okay, I see. Do I need to? Oh, how am I supposed to move down there? Okay, so apparently I have to go ahead and fly the copter down, lower the cot, flash the camera. I see. Copters. Got you. Copter stays on top. All right, so that means I just need to rope only lowers, but that's as far as I can get it. Let's see. The rope doesn't go any lower than that. Oh, I see. Okay, so I'm just grabbing each one of those pieces. There's R. And then, right, so then the rope gets longer with each thing that you rescue. Yeah. Okay, now here's the thing. I didn't know that, and I didn't read that as Vectrexer John went ahead and typed that. So here's what I'll tell you is the hallmark of excellent game design is when the player can understand emergent gameplay. Didn't need the manual, didn't need any other direction other than to observe what was going on there. So really, from a design perspective, fantastic. Really, truly fantastic
the way you're teaching the player as you go along. Man, I have to say, I am thoroughly impressed by the quality, the polish, the different game mechanics that this game has. Really, really good. All right. Oh, look at that. Oh, so the flower, is that the size? So the flower is the size or it grows to be the size, the particular size, depending on how well I did. Is that right? Let me know in the comments there. Okay, let's go ahead. Since we're already in for a penny, in for a penny. Oh, those are the three. I thought there was. Oh, it's pushing up your daisy. Right. So you died. That's fantastic. Man, that was really, really awesome. I think you did a fantastic job with that. That gets all of the buttons coming up there too. A couple of coins, Galaga Life. That was really, really cool. Oh my goodness, I love that. I love that. John, I cannot wait to go ahead and take another look at this as you continue to build out the game. And then make sure that we're also talking about this, and we'll drop a link into the description on YouTube and Twitch, so that way people go and link back to it whenever you're going ready to share this with the rest of the world. But man, really, really fantastic. Really, really fantastic. All right. Let's go ahead. You know, we probably have time for one more before we have to head out today. So let's go ahead and see if we have another Vectrex game. You know what? We're really at the top of the hour there. I don't think we're going to have a Vectrex game that is going to eclipse what we just saw. I think this may be the perfect time for us to go ahead and end the stream on that incredibly high note. Again, I want to thank, once again, I want to thank John for sharing that game with us today, Alpine Rescue. Thanks for sharing the manual with me as well. I'm super excited to see what you go ahead and do with this. So so that is just a taste of the Vectrex, right? It was at the dawn of the video game era in homes. It provided something completely unique and different to the other systems that we had. It allowed you to go and take that along. It allowed you to go ahead and play in your room when you're supposed to be asleep, although that buzzing of the speaker probably gave away more than it probably should. But fantastic little machine, incredible set of core games, amazing depth and breadth in the homebrew community, and Alpine Rescue. Man, I cannot wait to go revisit this when John comes back. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get out of here and let you get back to your weekend. So, hey, remember, if you are a video game developer of any size, from AAA to indies, make sure you head on over to aws.amazon.com/GameTech to discover the products, solutions, and services that we offer to help you on your cloud game development journey. And I want to give a special shout out, as always, to Waterflame for allowing me to use his music here on Rewind. Make sure you head on over to his YouTube channel at Waterflame Music to check out his incredible work. And if you care about preserving the history of video games as much as I do, make sure you head on over to the Video Game History Foundation's website at gamehistory.org. They're doing incredible work to preserve the history of our industry for future generations. And once again, I want to thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with me. Thanks, Brett, for coming in today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, an awesome weekend, and we're going to see you next week on Rewind.